it comes from the mind of Simon Le Bon, not Simon LeBron. Okay, Simon Le Bon.
LeBron? Are you talking about the man on the Lakers?
His name is LeBron James. I'm talking about the man on the Lakers, LeBron.
Hey, howdy, hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Mike's Monday Jams, the official podcast for music appreciators everywhere. Today we're going to be talking about the song The Reflex by the group Duran Duran. Let's get it. Last one for March. The 31st, Monday, March 31st.
It's been the longest month.
EC and MC
I
on
thought
the track.
January was long.
I don't know. I disagree. I think
I feel like March has
January
been
was
really
still
long. I mean, January was outrageous.
stupid
but
long, and the winter did not help. And it definitely seems like the winter is still dragging on. But it is what it is. So this is the last one for March. Got a birthday shout out to my mom this week on the 3rd of April. The only music news I could pull from this week is that Sean Kingston and his mom are guilty of fraud.
Oh.
Fire burning in his wallets.
What is the fraud?
They, screwed over some luxury car and item businesses and a couple other, there's a couple millions of dollars, they screwed folks over for or something.
Oh, shocking. This is really a surprise.
Fire burning.
Would have never thought that Sean Kingston would,
So he's on house arrest until, I think, July when they sentence them.
Oh, wow.
So
Did you know that he was supposed to be a rapper and then, whatever... I don't remember what his rap name was, but whatever label it was you're not good at rapping, but, sometimes you sing a little bit, and that's okay. And so they, renamed him Sean Kingston because he's from Kingston, Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
That's not his name.
Interesting. Fire Burning is objectively a bop, though.
It is. It's good.
It's a regular staple on the running playlist.
That's some millennial roller skating music.
Oh, without a doubt, brother.
Somebody call 911. Shawty fire burning on the dance floor.
So that was the only piece of news I could gather for this episode.
I don't have any music news either. Sorry.
I mean, you got to give us your thoughts on Ari's Deluxe.
I know I
Eternal Sunshine
I didn't listen to it yet. I'm sorry.
Give that for next week. But I have recently had a boost in Duran Duran listens.
That had a bit of a hyperfixation on Duran.
I wouldn't say hyperfixation.
I would.
No, I wouldn't.
As the person in your presence, I would.
Nah, I wouldn't. It's an interest. This might upset some listeners. I didn't used to like Duran Duran.
I think the listeners already know that.
But let them serve as a gentle reminder that you can come around to anything. We've had episodes like that in the past though.
Yeah.
Where it's been I really didn't appreciate this before, but it ages like a fine wine. So there's that. Side note, the document for today's notes I just labeled DD, and that's just making me think about Duncan.
Well, that made me think about a bra.
No, two very different perceptions of that.
Or you got to have a designated driver.
Yeah. Or Duran Duran.
Or a drunk driver, actually.
Hey, no. Mike's Monday Jams does not support drunk driving. Click it or ticket. No, that's the seatbelt one. Drive sober, get pulled over.
Drive sober, get pulled over, yeah.
There it is. Duran Duran, they're from Birmingham. Not our Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Though. Yeah. Birmingham. Not Birmingham.
Not Birmingham.
Who is it? Tracy Bird? It's Paint Me a Birmingham. Tracy Lawrence.
Yeah.
Other Tracy.
I think he also sings the "You Find Out Who Your Friends Are" song.
Well,
it's not in his top 5, so maybe.
Oh,
it's
yes.
number 6.
Number 6. I just, yeah, I think Paint Me in Birmingham's a goofy song. Anyway.
It is. I don't want to listen to that.
Formed by some chaps named Stephen Duffy, quite a name,
Love that.
Nick Rhodes, and John Taylor in 1978. They named their little trio after a character in an old sci-fi movie. The sci-fi movie was called Barbarella, which sounds like a type of pasta.
It does.
You know, throw some Barbarella on there, you know. Alas, it does not. But one of the characters' names was Mr. Duran Duran. And they've had a bunch of lineup changes over the years, and even in the late 70s before they recorded their first album. But the 5-piece that, you know, created the stardom of Duran Duran and the international success was Rhodes Taylor, Simon Le Bon on vocals, Andy Taylor, and Roger Taylor. I think it's pure coincidence that 3 of them's last names were Taylor. I don't think
they're not related?
I don't believe so, no.
Oh, interesting.
But a lot of the main lineup, like, came to them. Like, so they used to be, like, a resident band at a club in England. The club was called the Rum Runner. And they would just be like the featured band that's like was often there playing sets. And they would work at the bar when they like weren't playing live or rehearsing.
That.
So,
okay, they can sing you a song and make you a drink.
right,
Love that.
Behind the bar, they're, you know, letting folks in, bouncing, and, you know, cleaning up and all that good stuff.
They were like giving out mints in the bathroom.
Yeah, you know, providing
towel, sir.
Yeah. So little cool fun fact about Duran Duran there, but a lot of the members like were either like recruited because they were sent there, or like they just were there and were like, oh, you know, cool. But for example, Simon, he was actually recommended by an ex-girlfriend of one of them. I think he was like in London or something, and they were like, oh, you need a vocalist. This guy's pretty good. Which, you know, imagining that breakup conversation is kind of funny. You know, like, screw you, we're done. Also, I heard y'all need a singer. I got one for you. So that must have been a funny dynamic. But anyway, they began working on their first album material, like in early 1980. And 2 labels were actually fighting over them to sign them.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wait, you don't hear that often. It's the opposite way.
Viral hard.
Yes.
To get one.
But just between like them playing a bunch of club sets, and I think they opened for a couple groups on a couple shows, like labels were interested, but they ended up signing with EMI because they felt a certain patriotism to EMI, because EMI, part of EMI is Parlophone, which of course Beatles before you know they did their own thing with the Apple. So they felt an obligation to EMI because it's like, you know,
I get it.
The home country, the home team label.
God save the Queen and whatnot.
Correct. Which we'll get to royalty in a second.
Oh.
There's a piece to hear. Some of you at home may be getting ahead of me with that. But they were identified amongst this like new romantic movement. Like, think the very like flashy outfits, like think Boy George, like just very loud with your expression and a little bit of flamboyance. But it originated in the UK. It was like the club culture in Britain. And so they kind of identified themselves amongst that sort of movement. It came out of like glam rock and like the hair bands. Like it was evolved from, you know, bright colors, very loud. They released their first album, the self-titled Duran Duran, June of 81. There were 3 singles on that popped off, but of course what led the way was Girls on Film. Great song.
You also have a fixation with that song.
It's a good song. It's got such a good groove. I love a song with a good groove. Anything that's is like driven by a nice bass guitar part. Oh, I'm a like it. And that is quite the groove, driven by a bass guitar. But of course, it had a controversial music video, with some naked ladies in it.
Whoa, how naked?
Like, I mean, obviously the TV versions were censored, but like I'm pretty sure like the
Like coochie?
I don't know about coochie. I just
Full
think,
frontal?
I think just
Boobaloobies?
yes, wait.
Boobaloobaloobies and booty booties?
The technical anatomical term boobaloobaloobies.
Yes. Like blurred lines.
Yes. Robin Thicke. Isn't he also a fraud? He do something horrible?
Oh, I think he was like abusive to the naked women in the video. Yeah.
Not good.
No.
But
That song does slap though. We gotta admit it. That song is good.
what's up with all these awful people making good music?
It's just how it works, okay? You gotta separate the artist from the art. Blurred limes. Blurred limes. That's when you've had too many margaritas. They start to got blurred limes.
Yeah, I mean, perfect at the top of the episode. Sean Kingston. Fire burns a banger. We can
Yeah.
got that super thing. But of course, they wanted the controversy because when you have controversy, that means people are talking about you. But the idea was that they wanted to play the music video at like clubs that had like TV screens and like projector screens at that time. Because again, it was like, ooh, what's going to get you to
Naughty.
notice more than, you know,
Boobaloobaloobies.
naked people? So that can be accredited as a big part of their rise is that controversial
Boobs.
video. Yes, boobs. But also they were like the kings of early MTV. Like they maximized on music videos and the production of that. They were very, very dedicated to the music video grind, where as a lot of bands, and this was in the yacht rock documentary, that was why a lot of those yacht rock bands kind of fell off, because like they didn't want to do music videos. They didn't really care to do that. I mean, wasn't it Michael McDonald that was like, or one of the guys from Toto? They were like, "Oh, I wasn't paid to be an actor."
Yeah, I think it was one of the guys from Toto that said that.
So, you know, this was just bands who were really good at the video thing really took off at this point in time, and Duran Duran was definitely one of those. And they're also a big part of like the second British invasion, like of the early 80s, because their first tour in the U.S. was in 81. But the band members also stated like that first tour in the U.S. was like just very culty, because a lot of their albums were marketed in the like new romantic like appeal, but that movement hadn't really hit the U.S. yet. So I think a lot of Americans were like confused by Duran Duran at first.
What are these freaks up to? They look like they can be named Barbara.
All of a sudden, we throw their tea in the harbor, and 200 years later, the new romantic. What's going on? I mean, I guess that was a version of like teenage angst. You know, it's like new romantic. Anyway, so then in '82, Rio comes out. Great album. Features, of course, title track Rio, but also Hungry Like the Wolf.
The wolf.
Hungry Like the Wolf. And by that time, they became a worldwide sensation. But the album was marketed as New Romantic, but they actually re-released it in the U.S. in November as like more of like a dance record. And after that, it got a lot more popularity, especially with like Hungry Like the Wolf. But at this point in '82, they're dubbed by the British press as the Fab Five.
What?
Yes.
At first it was genuine, and then I was like, that was crazy that I gasped. So I thought I'd do it again.
So they're the Fab Five. The royalty piece comes in because they were Diana's favorite band, Princess Diana. What was her like nickname? Something.
The People's Princess.
Yes, the People's Princess. Yes. Also Duran Duran's princess, I guess.
People, you know how there was that whole thing about like men think about the Roman Empire all the time. Like I think people were saying like for women it's Princess Diana.
Well, do you always think about Princess Diana?
I would say I probably think of Princess Diana regularly, but probably not as much as you think about the Roman Empire.
Well, I studied 6 years of Latin.
Yeah, and I wasn't studying England, so.
Dude, Roman Empire came up the other day. I was thinking about Caligula. You know?
What?
the emperor who was beefing with Poseidon, and he
That is
asked.
not real.
Yes, it is.
With Poseidon?
He was beefing. So this is how crazy Caligula was. He thought he was beefing with Poseidon. He had the soldiers go and stab the ocean. It happened.
Well, they were all drunk all the time and probably on many, many, many bad herbs and whatnot. So.
Exactly. But look it up. Caligula, man, he did it. He ordered soldiers to go stab the ocean.
Well, that was stupid.
So that was my Roman Empire the other day. But now I guess I've thought about it today. So thanks.
And now, what are you thinking about?
Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
Damn. Shoot. Got me. So yes, of course, big part of the MTV revolution and the second British invasion, especially when they come back to the U.S. after Rio is released for another tour. The band members were like, yeah, it's less culty now. Like, folks, like, big fandom.
They're a little less freaky now, so I guess I'll come back.
Um,
Did you enjoy the movie Rio about the
birds?
the birds? Yeah.
I played Angry Birds Rio, but
I didn't know they had a version.
oh yeah.
Well, the first one's pretty good.
Oh, I didn't. I think I saw it. It wasn't that memorable though.
I liked it.
Oh,
Has
thanks.
Jesse Eisenberg and Anne Hathaway in it. They're the boy and the girl birds
Oh,
in
okay.
Rio.
And you love a funny Jew.
I do. I like Jesse Eisenberg.
So, yeah, the shows were a lot more appealing to wider audiences after Rio. But there's also some story of they did some signing event in Times Square for Rio, and like they couldn't leave. There were so many people, like they had to get NYPD to come like shut down some streets and clear a path so that they could leave. Like their fandom was like all-time high. It was very much like equivalent to Beatlemania.
It's like that video of, when they released a little bit longer at midnight and they did it in Times Square. You know what I'm talking about?
Ah,
And all the girls are out there in Times Square and the Jonas Brothers can't get through.
yes.
Just like that.
Yes, precisely. Copy paste even.
Yeah.
They even look alike.
Yeah, look just alike.
And an interesting thing about Duran Duran is that they were one of the first bands to like work on their own remixes. And this was before like a lot of that like remix technology existed. So they were doing like a lot of like multi-layering tracks and also just extending cuts. But to get some of these remixes, they were kind of a little bit exclusive. Like you could only find them like on random 45s or like physical copies of them, which I think is pretty cool. Little something
fun.
different. Because I know nowadays, like I'm never a fan of a remix, man. I can't think of a remix. I really appreciate.
Sometimes there are remixes where they like add a rap verse in it, and I like that more. Cruise with the version of Cruise without Nelly sucks. The version of Wow that has what's his face on it?
21 Savage.
I don't think it's 21 Savage. I think it's like Roddy Ricch.
No, I think Wow was 21 Savage. Oh no, you're right.
I
It
was
is
freaking
Roddy
right.
Ricch.
And Tyga.
Oh,
That's
I thought
way
it was
better than the
21
Wow without them.
Savage. It is, yes, agreed.
The version of Levitating by Dula Peep. I want the
You want the baby?
I want the baby.
Ha.
I want the baby verse.
Interesting. Yeah, but for the most part, remixes do not have a
No.
great connotation with myself, at least. Especially like, oh my God, Fostered People does it all the time.
Really?
Yeah, they'll like invite some DJ to like remix something.
Oh,
that's like,
yeah.
I just don't want to.
No, it's like
I don't care.
I also like do not frequent places that play music that sounds like that.
Yes.
So like I don't want to listen to it on my own time. If I like happened upon somewhere they're playing, if like there was a DJ,
Yeah.
like I would feel differently. But I don't need the DJ in my car.
No, and that's a realm that I, at least up until this point, March of 2025, do not have interest in EDM/DJ sets.
No.
I'm not seeking that out. No thanks.
Nope, unless it's Cody Co's outro.
Why don't we play something these souls alive?
That is a banger. So the success of Rio gets them, worldwide tour and a household name. And now they got to follow that up. So the third album, 7 in the Ragged Tiger, comes out in 83. But as they're recording it, they are behaving as tax exiles. They do not go back to the UK like during this time. They recorded it in 3 different locations. It was like France, Montserrat, and then Australia. They were just bopping around. Montserrat, the island in the Caribbean.
I thought that was a font.
It might be. It's also an
I think
island.
that's the name of a font I like to use.
Well, you can
Didn't
think
know it
about
was
the
named,
island
I didn't know it was
now.
named after a real place.
But it was something having to do with British musicians were heavily taxed.
I think we've discussed this on a different episode about somebody.
I think we also have, and it's now coming back to me as you state that now currently
I
to
think
me
we've discussed
through
this,
the microphone.
This British tax evasion. Before.
So making its resurgence once
I
again
don't remember who
on
we
the
were
show.
talking about though.
I don't know who have we talked about.
Was it
who
when we talked
popular
about
in
the
80s?
police?
Possible.
I don't know. I definitely feel like we've discussed this before.
Yeah, for sure. So they're tax evading, and this came as advice from their management too, and they have said they were just kind of following their lead because I think they were still pretty young and just doing whatever. But attention CPAs everywhere, British CPAs, yo, just do some investigating. Maybe that's what The Accountant 2 is about.
Oh yeah, investigating Duran Duran.
Yeah, featuring Ben Affleck. The accountant.
I like how it's the accountant is back, and now he's got his brother. This ad almost seems like a joke.
Seems like an SNL skit.
And they've been advertising it heavy in March Madness.
Yeah.
I've been seeing ads for the
all
accountant.
March Madness is Gaga and The Accountant
Gaga
2.
and the accountant and
Oh, yes. The revival of Maxwell the Pig. Yes. So, but before we get into today's album, of course, the band has always been super stylish. They've worked with many different designers and fashionistas over the years to outfit them. But despite a lot of member changes and some breaks here and there, they're still going today. They've regularly toured throughout their career. And they have gotten a lot of awards and honors, including 2 Grammys and 2 Brits. So they're still full of life. Duran. They are. But again, today's album, they dealt with a lot of perfectionism on this one because it's how do you follow up the success of Rio? But they also didn't have the same level of productivity. They're starting sessions at 4 p.m. And band members are addicted to drugs, and it's
that's
just
rough.
It's a whole thing. So it was a struggle to get this one out. But it did finally come out in November of 83 because I think they gave themselves a Christmas deadline. So they exceeded that. Good for them.
Good.
More synth-driven stuff than the previous 2 albums. Critics did not like it, but the fans did.
Oh, okay.
So I guess, if we're looking at Rotten Tomatoes, high audience score, very, very low.
Like Paul Blart. What are we comparing this to Paul Blart?
You're comparing Duran Duran to Paul Blart.
All right.
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
And this would be the last album with the 5 OGs until 2004 because they did so much, shifting and whatnot. But the naming of it, it comes from the mind of Simon Le Bon, not Simon LeBron. Okay, Simon Le Bon.
LeBron? Are you talking about the man on the Lakers?
His name is LeBron James. I'm talking about the man on the Lakers, LeBron.
The 7 is referring to the 5 band members and their 2 managers, and then the tiger is success.
Oh.
So hence Seven and the Ragged Tiger. Little bit of a clever analogy, I suppose. But the song, the Reflex, the band says is about living just based on instinct. Fans will tell you that the lyrics mean absolutely nothing.
It doesn't sound like it means anything to me.
Just a bunch of mumbo jumbo and a bunch of nonsense. But I guess when you're on top, you can get away with those things. I guess you can get away with those things.
I guess so.
But, I was looking at comments on this song, and a lot of it was like, oh, it wouldn't be a Duran Duran song if it was like, what didn't have like complex rhythms, a good groove, and lyrics that made absolutely no damn sense.
Meant nothing.
So they've received that critique before. But it was their first U.S. #1 single. Despite the success of Rio.
Oh, interesting.
This was their first #1 single in the U.S. And it actually prevented Bruce Springsteen's "Dancing in the Dark" from becoming #1. And then Prince released "When Doves Cry," and that also prevented "Dancing in the Dark" from becoming #1.
Tough.
Sat at #2 for a while. Anyway, music video, very 80s. I mean, when you think about Duran Duran, they got to be one of the most like 80s.
Oh, incredibly
80s
yes.
bands out there.
Yes.
This is like when we have a conversation about like the most SEC like schools. But like when 80s bands.
This is just how people converse about things and have opinions
Correct.
about different things. Yes, that is true.
But the music video, yeah, it's got the 8-bit graphics almost. Bright colors, crazy imagery.
Goofy dancing,
goofy outfits, lots of expression. And so this is the music video very much perfectly captures that time. The song, though, it makes you want to dance. It's got a great intro, little like some banging on some drums and it's like you immediately know what it is. The Reflex,
Oh, good. You can sing the whole song for us.
Oh yeah,
Like 6 minutes of it.
And you get a lot of bolstering with the bass on this track. Again,
Bass bolster.
Sucker
Bass
for,
police. Bass police.
Sucker for a good groove, and this definitely has one. And who doesn't love that last breakdown of the
Yeah, I was just saying it.
Exactly. And it's catchy, but it's not catchy in like a cheapy pop way. Like, I love espresso, but it's kind of
Oh yeah, it's catchy like a cold.
Yes, precisely. Very like catchy in that cheapy pop way, but this is like a very.
This is a chicky catch.
Okay, Tom Haverford.
Chicken cacciatore, chicky catch.
So I have been a recent fan of the Reflex, and the
What's
group.
turned your tides on Duran Duran?
I don't know. To me, it's like it kind of feels like an inspiration for sob rock, perhaps. Like
80s-ness.
Yes, like it's like adjacent to the inspiration for sob rock.
Yes, very 80s. Yes.
And so I don't know. I dig it. You're
just getting more.
Sometimes you just come around to things, man. I used to be like, man, I'm never going to listen to the Grateful Dead. And like, I'm traveling many state lines to go see an amalgamation of the Grateful Dead.
That's true.
This is all about growth, okay? Sometimes you got to admit when you're wrong. Sometimes you got to take a bow. And this is one of those times. So if you at home have resistance to a group, God forbid one day you start liking Kings of Leon,
That's not going to happen. It's the epitome of like all the type of music I cannot stand.
It could happen.
I really don't.
It could happen.
If it does,
It could happen.
I would start asking me like really deep personal questions to make sure I haven't been abducted by an alien and replaced, and you're not living with an alien in the house.
Your brain has been swapped.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. But
Well, would you like to hear what I think about when I think about Duran Duran?
absolutely.
So, as a child, this is the type I only knew that there was this type of music, country music, and music on the Disney Channel. So that was all
Word, brother.
that's all I had until about probably middle school.
And the
all right?
Beatles.
And the Beatles, yes. So I listened to a lot of Duran Duran, and it was all on my iPod Nano.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to go up into the craft room, and we used to have like an iPod, like, you know, they had like the docks that had the speakers.
The little iHome things.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was like a big like dock with the speakers, and I would like be crafting, but really I was dancing around to music all the time, and I'd do it all the time. And my mom used to like yell for me from downstairs, and I couldn't hear her, and she would like get really, really angry when I couldn't hear her, which is like, I don't know.
Dude, I'm vibing up here. You're just jealous you're
This
not
is
catching a
It's a
vibe.
different era of our lives.
You just hating I'm catching this vibe.
She bitch, don't kill my vibe, okay? She was trying to kill it. And so, but I remember
I caught
like
the vibe.
one time
Get a
she
catcher's
got
mitt,
really, really mad at me. And then it was like the next time I was up there, I was listening to Hungry Like the Wolf, and at the end, there's like people yelling like really quietly in the background of the song, like like in the like, and I kept pausing it because and I'd be like, what? But it was this song. And I think about that every time I hear that song, like when it comes on 80s on 8, I'm like, oh my god, she's yelling for me.
She's yelling
It's
at me.
like it's like some type of like deep-seated thing in me. Like I think about it every time. I think she's yelling for me. It's like she is in Tennessee and I'm in Connecticut. She's not yelling for me. Yeah, that is what I think about. It's kind of like when you hear a song that has sirens in it.
Oh,
And you're in the car,
like,
and then you
ooh.
like think you're getting pulled
Ooh.
over.
Oh, yeah.
Shut Up and Drive by Rihanna
Yep.
has sirens in the end of it. And every time if I hear it in the car, I'm like, I gotta remember.
It's got
It's
him.
not me.
It's got to take a
Imagine
look in the
it
rear view.
was. Imagine if you get pulled over or like someone's trying to play and you can't tell because
I'm
you're
sure
listening.
it's happened.
And then you're like, I'm so sorry, sir. I was listening to Shut Up and Drive by Rihanna.
And then they're like, understandable. Have
totally,
a good day.
Totally, I get it. No
Speaking
worries at
of
all.
Hungry Like the Wolf, I saw this comment on the YouTube for the music video in my research for today's episode, which, you know, if you ever want to know anything about Duran Duran, there's a lot of it on the internet.
There's been a lot of details in this episode.
Yes,
Very informative.
There's a lot of information out there. But this comment comes from this dude. Handle is Graham Tate. Graham Tate 8031. So proud of my 10-year-old. Downloaded the do song after hearing it on the radio. There is hope, people.
That's so cute.
So gotta love that.
This one says, this song is so solid. I'm scared there might have been a snake in that water.
Lovely. So that's Duran Duran, and specifically the Reflex. So enjoy listening to the
one
Reflex.
last thing though. Are you gonna acknowledge the interesting theme you have going here? Last week you had the artist
Duran Jones,
and now
now
you're
it's
gonna have
Duran
Duran. What the hell are you gonna do next week? I don't know anybody else.
Anybody named Dura? I keep taking off letters. You know, shoot.
Dura.
Is there anybody named Dura? Dura. Let's see.
Nah.
Artistes. Yeah. No.
No Dura.
No Dura. But new band name, I call it, I guess.
Do-rag. Do-rag is next.
And now it's time for the segment portion of today's show. Kicking us off, as always, is Emma's Everyday Jam, the song that you've been regularly bumping along to this past week.
Honestly, y'all, I have had some stress on me this past week. It's been a bit of a stressful week, so I've just been, going back to some things that always bring me some joy. So I've been listening to This Is the 1975 a good bit, like in the shower this week, and I like to listen to It's Not Living If It's Not With You. That song makes me smile. I think it's cute. So I'm going to say that's my everyday jam.
Good choice. I approve.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Next up is our major minor chords, a segment of the show in which we talk about our respective highs and lows for the week. What say you?
My minor, I think what Mike's minor is going to be, we'll co-sign that minor. But I would also say I have been under some stress. Been a stressful work week, but it's Saturday now. My major is the tide, bro. We whooped up on some Mormon ass the other night. Those Mormons went home, didn't even get a damn soak in. Okay? Losers. Aren't losers. But tonight we're playing Cooper Flag and those Dookies. A little nervous about that, but if we can have any semblance of the energy that we had on Thursday, we could whoop up on some Dookie ass. So I'm ready to see it. Roll Tide. Roll my favorite Tide. Let's get it going. Let's get it going, boys. March Sears. That's Grant Nelson. Exciting quite.
Minor has got to be that the Grizzlies fired
Yeah.
Taylor Jenkins.
I have developed more mixed feelings about it because did you see what they posted today?
No.
So, Ja has been out on injury for the past 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
But this morning, he was fully practicing at shoot-around and is listed as questionable versus the Lakers. If Ja plays tonight, that is 100% the reason that Taylor Jenkins got fired. Taylor Jenkins was keeping him out on injury when he doesn't need to be out.
It's definitely some interesting timing there. On all accounts, firing a coach.
Why? I don't know. Like maybe he
mid-season.
thinks like maybe he's worried for Ja's like future health and like maybe it was more that, or maybe like him and Ja stopped getting along or something
Yeah.
and like he's like punished. I don't know.
That's true.
I don't see that. Like that doesn't really make sense to me. But it just the timing of it all has been insane for the playoffs. But maybe he was really holding him back, and then we're about to go on a generational run. I don't know. Maybe they'll be invigorated or something.
Maybe that minor will turn into a major.
Who
We'll
knows?
see. He seemed like a decent dude, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, he was seeing Hamilton the same night that my parents saw Hamilton, and so maybe he needed to not be going to see
Maybe he
Hamilton.
needed to prioritize his work life a little bit more if he knew he was about to get fired. But that is what it is. Major, I was able to run 10 miles comfortably today, so that was pretty sick.
Oh yeah, second week in a row.
It was like 60 degrees out there too. It
Hell
felt
yeah.
kind of nice. So that was exciting. Next up is our honorable mentions, the songs that almost made the cut or follow similar rhyme or reason, and we'll kick you off with "Hungry Like the Wolf."
In touch with the ground, I'm on the hunt, I'm after you. Smell like a sound, I'm lost in a crowd, and I'm hungry like the wolf.
You know, that YouTube comment from that guy makes me think about, like, what do you think, like, our children one day, like, what song they start listening to, you can be like, I'm so proud.
Oh man.
Like, is it his cheeseburger, and why?
They'll know his cheeseburger. They won't find that on their own. It's like what would they find on their own?
Undercover Martin.
They're like, I found this band called Two Door Cinema Club. No, they're like, so like, I don't want you to be mad at me, but like, that party I went to last night, like I didn't know anybody was gonna be drinking, but they were drinking but they were playing this really good song, and I thought you guys might like it. It's Doses and Mimosas.
It's the Spins.
It's the Spins.
Funny.
It would be party music. That's what I would.
Yeah.
That's what I would be.
It's the anthem.
It's the
Pitbull and Lil Jon.
like. Did y'all ever like? Do you know about this guy Pitbull? Now Pitbull will still be doing it 100%. Pitbull is not slowing down anytime soon.
He is eternal.
Yeah.
Next up, this was suggested by the Spotify, and I feel a little like I can't believe I hadn't heard this one before. When I got it on the shuffle, I was like, "Is this one of their deep cuts?" And it's like, no, it's one of their like top 5 songs. The Wombats, Moving to New York. It's from their first album. It's a little more angsty, but like it's catchy. I like it. It reminds me of a lot of 1209 song.
So I'm moving to New York 'cause I've got
And also, great opportunity to talk about the Memphis Wombat, who
R.I.P..
tragically passed away.
Well, it didn't sound tragic. It sounded like he was ancient.
That's all.
He was like 20 something?
And they only are expected
They
to live to
lived to
like 15
like
or
12.
something. Yeah.
Like, this wombat was ready to go. I think he's in a better place.
But listen,
If that is the same wombat whose wiener I saw when I was like 9 years old, like, that is crazy.
R.I.P. the Memphis Zoo Wombat.
Love to lay spread eagle out of a trash can. Funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, brother. And this last one, the album is certainly shaping up to be my favorite of the year thus far. It was also featured in the last episode of this season of Full Swing as the credits rolled.
Oh.
A little bit closer. Sam Fender. Good one.
Come on with me there. Show me the walk on water, and I get a little bit closer to it.
I had fallen asleep by that point.
You sure did.
That last episode got a little boring, unfortunately.
Like, the President's Cup is not as exciting as the Ryder Cup. Why
No,
are
the
y'all
Ryder
making
Cup,
it
I was on
seem
the
like
edge of
it?
my seat.
You're making it seem like it is. Anyway, that's going to do it for us this week, folks. Hope you enjoyed today's episode and learning a little bit more about
A lot about.
Duran Duran. But we appreciate the like, follow, comment, subscribe, share, listen, all that good stuff. And we shall see you next week in April.